Hi, my name is Adam Bergman, and I'm a partner with the IRA Financial Group, president of the IRA Financial Trust Company. This is Common Prohibited Transactions, Edition 2. We talked about in the first video on Common Prohibited Transactions what a prohibited transaction is under 4975, how no transaction involving your IRA or 401k can in any way personally benefit you, the IRA owner, or any of your lineal descendants, parents, children, spouse, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, or any entities associated with such persons. So that was really clear, and I talked about some of the obvious ones, like you can't buy a house and live in it, or buy a house and have your kids live in it, or use your IRA as collateral for a loan, or use your IRA to buy a car, or go to Disney, all the common prohibited transaction ones that really aren't too complex. This video, I want to talk about some of the more complicated ones, which really involve self-dealing and conflict of interest. And I get these all the time. Hey, can I invest in a business that I own 49% of? We know the tax code under 4975 says that an entity is disqualified if it's owned 50% or more by a disqualified person. Well, what happens if I own 48 or 49 or 42 or 41? Is that okay? And it would seem on its face that yes, it would be okay, but we know from case law, especially Rollins v. Commissioner, where Mr. Rollins, an accountant, actually tried to lend money from his 401k to a business he owned less than 10% of, was not an employee, just a director, and the tax court argued prohibited transaction, or the IRS argued prohibited transaction, and the tax court agreed. So we know you can be under the 50% and still trigger a prohibited transaction. I'm going to give you my position, and I tell all my clients this. If the entity is not widely held, like Google or Apple or a publicly traded company, I don't want my clients to invest in any company that a disqualified person even owns 1%. When I say closely held, 75, 50, 7,500 shareholders. If it's under that, I don't want any disqualified person to own even 1%. Now, there are some exceptions where it could possibly work, but my attitude is if a disqualified person is nowhere in the transaction, you got no risk. You got no prohibited transaction risk. Maybe you got to worry about unrelated business taxable income or unrelated debt finance income, which I'll talk about in another video. But you got no prohibited transaction risk, which is key, because if you violate the prohibited transaction rules, penalty up to 100% and tax. So bad, you don't want to go anywhere near the prohibited transaction rules. So when it comes to self-dealing, conflict of interest, some of the common ones are generally, can I partner with my IRA personally to buy real estate? Kellerman case, no, you can't do it. There's a lot of people out there. You can go on the internet. There's actually custodians. I've seen websites of some reputable companies that say, yeah, you can do that. And it's shocking because you can't. You should not do it. The Kellerman case clearly says you can't use personal money in an IRA to do a joint venture in a real estate deal. My position is you should put even $1 of personal money into any real estate deal. Once you put a little bit of money, even $1 of personal money into an IRA-related deal, now you open up the door for an IRS attack. Now the onus falls on you as a taxpayer, because you as a taxpayer have the burden of proof in any type of IRS conflict to show that no prohibited transaction occurred. And now you have a burden to say, hey, I didn't need my personal money to make this deal, or my IRA money didn't personally help me make this deal. And I've talked for 15 years with people about this stuff, about trying to do joint ventures. Hey, I'll take 200 from my IRA, 50 personally. I think it's a good deal for me personally and my IRA. I want to do it. I'll walk away with it. I probably have lost 15,000 clients over 10 years because of this, and I'll live with it. I want to sleep at night. I don't want to put my clients in any type of harm when it comes to prohibited transaction. I think it's extremely risky to commingle personal and retirement money in the same deal. Now, it could potentially work if you're looking to invest in a hedge fund like Apollo, where there's thousands of limited partners, and maybe you own 0.2% personally, and you're going to buy a couple more units with your IRA. It could work in specific situations, especially public companies or big funds. But anything closely held, under 50 investors, shareholders, stay away from it. Don't do it. If your personal money's in there or lineal descendants' personal money's in there, you got to be careful, because you are opening the door to potential IRS attack. There are audits. The IRS is concerned. There's $29 trillion of IRA money. They need to protect their tax revenue. The distributions generated from RMDs, the tax money they collect, especially now the baby boomers are retiring, is significant. Big, big money. and they don't want people just doing whatever they can with their IRA. It is extremely risky and have lost revenue to them. So it's very important that you navigate the prohibited transaction rules, understand them, the benefits, and also understand how they work, especially a disqualified person. So I'll give you some common prohibited transactions. On a self-dealing is investing in a fund or a business where a disqualified person has a small percentage, or maybe he's a manager, or maybe he's involved as a general partner, or maybe you want to use your IRA to start a hedge fund. Risky, because now you have the burden of proof of showing the IRA money is not personally benefiting you. You're not using the money to say, hey, look, my hedge fund now did 8%, 10%, 12%, and use it to go on the road and collect investors based off your past performance. You got to be careful about that. You got to be careful about conflict of interest, where you're doing a deal to personally benefit you. You're investing in a business because you want to secure a job or a bonus, or want to secure a deal with that company for your personal business. You got to be careful, and you got to ask yourself, if the IRS knocks on your door and says, hey, Joe or Jane, prove to me that your IRA investment didn't personally benefit you, you better have strong supporting facts, and you better be able to give them to them confidently, because if you can't, you're going to blow up your IRA. There's going to be tax penalties up to 100%, and it's a bad situation. You don't want to go there. So again, this is really important stuff. We'd love to hear from you, because every person has slightly different fact patterns. But trust me, these rules are very important, and they're pretty strict. So I'm sure quite a few of you are quite clever and probably have thought of some really cool ways to get around them. Trust me, it's been thought of. I get this all the time. Well, I want to buy this property, I already own it, so I'm going to sell it to a straw person or a non-disqualified person, and then I'll just repurchase it with my IRA. It's been thought of. It's called the step transaction doctrine. There's plenty of case law on it. The IRS will say it's a sham transaction, and they'll ignore the step. So there's a lot of case law on these types of deals, transactions where there's steps involved, and at the end of the day, you're trying to get around these prohibited transaction rules. The IRS will look at the intent, and if they think it's fishy, smells fishy, they'll blow it up. So be careful. It's one reason, again, whoever you work with, and obviously we'd love for IRA Financial to be the company that you use for your self-directed IRA or 401k. Make sure you're working with tax professionals. I'm a trained tax attorney, master's in tax law from NYU. I've written 6 books on this subject. Been doing this for tax law for almost 20 years. You need to work with professionals. You may think you understand the tax code, and you may be extremely smart, but there's regulations, there's case law that you may not be privy to and may not find available, and that could change the analysis. So again, we'd love to hear from you, 800-472-0646. Email me, Adam B, A-D-A-M, B as in Bergman, Adam B at IRA Financial Group. Thanks for watching. Really important topic, common prohibited transactions, volume 2 or edition 2, and until next time, thanks.